This happened a few years back. I was 14, a freshman in high school. I remember this story like yesterday. It was a Friday afternoon. My mom and my little brother were going to the library to return some books. They asked me if I wanted to come. I said sure and went along with them. The library was close by our house, not too far, a little bit less than a mile away. It was dark and it was winter at the time, so we took the car. I remember arguing with my brother over the front seat. Of course, he ended up sitting in the back. We got to the library. It was quiet and solitary. There was 2 levels, upstairs and downstairs. My mom and my brother went to go return the books while I wandered off somewhere. This library was very large. The stairs were big and spiral. It looked like a mansion with books. As I wandered deeper in between the shelves, it got quieter, enough so that I could hear the echo of my footsteps. I kept walking, then I stopped. It wasn't silent anymore. The strange sound of heavy breathing caught my attention. When the sound got louder, I decided to turn around and see what it was. There was a tall man standing behind me. He was dressed with a yellow raincoat. He wore black formal shoes. And his hair was brown, and it looked like he put a whole pound of gel in his hair. He stood very close, like less than a foot away from me, facing the opposite direction. Later that night, it was around 8:30 now. I was in the science fiction section of the library. Suddenly, I heard a strange sound. Again, it was like a whistle or something. Next to me was a black door that led to a room with no lights. I assumed it was coming from inside, so I peeked my head in the door. No one. Just an empty room and a printer light. I pulled my head back from the doorway. As I pulled my head back, I felt a sudden sensation of paranoia. I turned my head slightly. From the corner of my eye, there stood a man. The same man that I saw 20 minutes ago, and he had something in his hand. I walked away. I could feel him staring at me as I walked. I got far enough so that he couldn't see me. I was a bit on edge now. Why was he still here? Is he waiting for someone? I watched him from the other side of the library. I could just barely see him from that bookshelf. I was so creeped out by that man that I decided to just go back with my mom and my brother. Once again, it got so quiet I could hear the sound of my footsteps clearly. That paranoia wouldn't leave me alone. I couldn't focus on where I was going. The sound of my footsteps was just making everything worse. But I couldn't help but notice that they weren't in sync with my steps. I stopped walking at one point, but the sound kept going. I whipped my head back out of fear, and there was the man standing less than 2 feet from me. I looked at him in the eyes without saying a word. His eyes were pitch black and very big. He had the darkest eyes I had ever seen. Maybe it was his eyes or his peculiar smile, but something about him seemed uncanny, almost like an android of some sort. I apologized. I don't know what for. I said sorry and left. I started walking until I could hear the sound of his footsteps again. Then I began to jog all the way to where my mom and my brother were. "Can we go now? This place is freaking me out," I told my mom. While we were on the drive home, I kept looking backwards to make sure that creep hadn't followed us. Maybe it was a prank or maybe a psycho that wanted to do something to me. But whatever it was, it terrified me. I had never told anyone about this because I was afraid they wouldn't take me seriously. Then again, I was only 14 at the time, and who was going to believe me?